Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel X Coin Secrets. We're counting down the top 5 most valuable Abraham Lincoln 1-cent pennies. Some of these rare coins have sold for thousands of dollars at auction, and you might have one in your pocket. Right now, watch till the end to see which penny takes the number 1 spot. Let's begin. Our first coin, the 1974 Lincoln penny with a D mint mark from the Denver Mint, and specifically the idea that even if it's circulated, scratched, dusty, and in fine condition, it could be worth something like $5,800. If you've ever pulled a penny out of change and wondered if you hit the jackpot, this is exactly the kind of situation where expectations and real auction results don't always match. And that's what we're going to explore in plain, honest terms, so you know what the real values are in today's dollar market. The first thing you should know is that the 1974 D. Lincoln penny is not inherently rare. The Denver Mint struck over 4.2 billion of these coins in 1974, so they're extremely common in everyday circulation, and most examples you find in your pocket change are worth just a penny or a few cents above face value based on typical collector demand. In normal circulating grades like fine or even extra fine, a 1974 D penny with scratches and dust is generally only worth around 10 or 20 cents, maybe a little more if it looks especially nice for its wear. That's because there's such a huge supply of these coins. Millions and millions are still out there. So collectors don't pay high premiums for ordinary worn pieces. Sellers online sometimes use high suggested prices to get attention or hope someone will pay a lot. But listing prices on sites don't reflect actual market prices unless a coin actually sells at those numbers in documented auctions. The honest price most circulated 1974 D. Lincoln pennies bring in real sales is very close to face value, not thousands of dollars. Now, are there any 1974 Lincoln cents that are valuable? Yes, but they are very specific exceptions, and they are not typical circulated Denver pennies. For example, rare error coins like the experimental 1974 aluminum penny that accidentally made it out of the mint have sold for far more because so few are known to exist and they're part of numismatic history. And there are also some graded 1974 Lincoln cents in high mint state grades that have fetched prices into the hundreds or even low thousands when they have exceptional surfaces and original red color. One rare certified MS-68 red instance of a 1974 Lincoln cent recently set a strong auction record at around almost $3,000. But that was a top-grade, slabbed coin with a superb strike and original deep red luster, not a worn, circulated penny with scratches and dust. Those high record prices are also typically for specific varieties and extremely high grades, not for everyday coins you might find in your wallet. Most price guides show that circulated 1974 Lincoln cents, including Denver Mint marks, are worth only a few cents unless they are part of an error variety or exceptional gem quality coin graded professionally. So, while videos and listings may claim a value like $5,800 for a 1974 D. Lincoln penny, that figure doesn't match actual auction results for circulated coins with wear and scratches. That kind of number is more likely tied to a rare error or spectacularly high-grade piece that has been certified by PCGS or NGC and sold at a major auction in normal coin collecting and auction markets today. Everyday 1974 D. Lincoln pennies in fine condition are collectible and fun to save, but they aren't worth thousands of dollars. If you think you might have something unusual, like an error coin, an experimental metal planchet, or a coin with extraordinary color and strike, the best step is to have it evaluated and graded by a professional. Professional grading and verified auction sales are what establish real market value in dollars, not hopeful seller prices or internet speculation. So check your coins carefully and always compare what's actually sold in auctions before you expect big values. Because for a standard circulated 1974 D. Lincoln penny with wear and scratches, the real market value today is far more modest than $5,800. Next coin, the 1983 Lincoln penny with a large date and no mint mark from Philadelphia, even in circulated, scratch, dusty, fine condition, could be worth something like $3,800. If you've ever pulled a penny out of your pocket and wondered whether it might be a hidden treasure, you're not alone, because that's exactly the kind of claim that gets passed around in videos and listings. But when we look at what's really happening in the auction market today, the numbers tell a very different story. The standard 1983 Lincoln penny, the ones most of us find in change, was struck in huge numbers at the Philadelphia Mint, with over 7.7 billion coins produced that year because of that incredible supply. Ordinary circulated examples, with wear and scratches, are generally only worth about pennies to maybe a few dollars at most in today's market. Most circulated 1983 pennies are worth just their face value or a little above it to a collector who wants it for a set, and that's because so many of them still exist. So where do big values come from? In the case of 1983 pennies, the ones that have fetched real high prices in auctions are usually specific error varieties or rare compositions, not normal circulation pieces. For example, very rare transitional copper planchet errors from 1983, pennies struck on the heavier, older copper blanks instead of the regular zinc-plated blanks, have sold for tens of thousands of dollars at auction because only a handful are known to exist and serious collectors compete for them. There are also double die varieties and other specific error coins that can bring a premium. But those are actual varieties that have been officially documented and authenticated, not just a common coin you found in your change. Even for coins that have been professionally graded and certified, the top auction results for a regular 1983 Lincoln cent, without any error or unusual attribute, don't come anywhere close to the $3,800 figure. For instance, a standard 1983 penny in superb mint state grade like MS-68 sold at auction for about $1,840, but that was an exceptionally high-grade example and not a worn piece. Most certified examples in more common mint state grades bring far less, often in the tens to low hundreds of dollars range depending on color and strike quality. And that's again for coins that have never been in circulation. Normal circulated coins with scratches, dust, and fine wear are a completely different story. They simply don't command those kinds of prices because they're everywhere and collectors know it. So if someone is telling you that a regular circulated 1983 Lincoln cent without a mint mark, just the common 1-cent coin most people have handled thousands of times, is worth $3,800 in today's auction market, that claim isn't backed by documented sales. Auction records and coin price guides reflect what collectors have actually paid, and in the case of ordinary 1983 pennies with wear, the market values are modest. Most circulated examples are only worth their face value or maybe a couple of dollars in rare situations, with the real big money coins being specific error types or extremely high certified mint state examples that are not typical found in change pieces. If you think you might have something genuinely rare, like an error or a coin with unusual composition, the best thing you can do is have it examined by a professional grading service. That's how real auction value gets determined, not by speculation or hopeful price tags on listings. So check your coins carefully, know what you've got, and always base your expectations on actual documented sales results, because that's the only way to know what a coin is really worth in dollars in today's market. Next coin, the 1988 Lincoln penny with a large date and no mint mark, which means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. You might have heard claims online that even a worn, scratched, circulated example in bad or fine condition could be worth something like $2,700. If you've ever pulled an old penny out of your change jar and wondered whether it might be a hidden treasure, this is exactly the kind of claim that can get you curious. But when you look at what's actually happening in the real auction market in dollars, the number that most circulated 1988 pennies bring in is a lot more modest and it's important to understand why. The first thing you need to know is how common the 1988 Lincoln cent really is. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 4.5 billion of these pennies that year, which means they are extremely common in circulation. Every coin collector has seen hundreds of them in pocket change, coin rolls, and old collections because so many were made and so many still exist. The vast majority of these pennies in ordinary, worn condition are only worth a few cents above face value. Sometimes just a penny or two, sometimes maybe a few dollars if it has minimal wear. But that's about it. The coin you find in the bottom of a drawer with scratches, dirt, and wear is almost always valued close to what it cost when it was first made. When you search auction databases and real sale results, circulated 1988 pennies most often sell for trivial amounts, very close to face value, and that's because collectors can find thousands of similar ones easily. There simply isn't scarcity in typical circulated condition, and collectors aren't willing to pay big money for something that's everywhere. So, where do big price tags come from? When you hear numbers like $2,700, that usually refers to something very unusual, not your everyday worn penny. In the world of Lincoln cents, coins that genuinely fetch high prices in auctions are typically error coins or rare varieties that have something remarkable about them, like a double die, a major die break, a wrong planchet strike, or something else that makes them truly rare and desirable. Some specific Lincoln cents from certain years and mints have gone for thousands of dollars because only a handful are known to exist, but those are specific exceptions, and they're documented error varieties, not run-of-the-mill circulated pieces. Collectors rely on auction records to set real market values, not hopeful listing prices. Those auction records reflect what people have actually paid for a coin. And again, ordinary circulated 1988 Lincoln pennies don't show sales anywhere near thousands of dollars. Even coins that are professionally graded by services like PCGS or NGC tend to only reach higher values when they are still uncirculated and flawless, or when they exhibit true error characteristics that are rare and verified. A coin graded MS 67 or MS 68 with brilliant color and perfect surfaces might command a premium, but that's an uncirculated coin that never saw circulation for the 1988 Lincoln cent. Even top certified mint state examples that have sold at auction have rarely cracked numbers in the low thousands. When you're talking about a circulated coin with scratches and wear, that's a completely separate category. That's the kind of coin that sits in everyday change and is collected primarily to fill a date in a set, not to make someone wealthy. So if you're holding a 1988 Lincoln penny with signs of wear, scratches, dirt, and you're seeing online listings that say it's worth $2,700, be cautious. Those kinds of numbers in listings are often asking prices, not selling prices, and they don't reflect real auction results or what buyers in the market are actually paying. The honest truth, based on actual auction sales, is that a circulated 1988 Lincoln penny is worth close to its face value, maybe a bit more to someone completing a collection, but not something that's likely to get thousands of dollars. If you think you might have something genuinely rare, like an error, a double die, or something truly unusual, the best way to find out is to have it examined and certified by a professional grading service. Professional grading and verified auction results are what establish real market value, but for most 1988 pennies you're likely to see in circulation, they're interesting pieces of U.S. coinage history and great for teaching kids about coins, but not something that alone is going to fetch big money in today's dollar auction market. Next coin, the 2007 Lincoln penny with a D mint mark from the Denver Mint, and the idea that even if it's circulated, scratched, dusty, and in poor or fine condition, it could be worth something like $1,800. A lot of us have looked through old change and wonder if something we found might be a hidden treasure, and numbers like that certainly catch your attention, but it's important to separate internet hype from real-world auction values in dollars so you know exactly what's going on. The first thing to understand is that the 2007 D. Lincoln penny is extremely common. The Denver Mint produced over 5 billion of these coins in 2007. So they're everywhere. That means the vast majority of these pennies you find in circulation are worth just their face value, or maybe a few cents above it if they're a little nicer than average when coins are worn, scratched, and show signs of circulation. Collectors typically only pay a small premium, usually no more than a few dollars at most. Because there's no scarcity, these coins were made in huge numbers, and there are millions of them still out there. So where do high price tags like $1,800 come from? When you hear that kind of figure being thrown around, it usually comes from hopeful sellers listing coins at high prices online, or people confusing a regular coin with something much rarer. The real market for coins is based on actual documented sales, especially at auction, where buyers compete, and the true value in dollars becomes clear in the case of the 2007 Lincoln cent. The vast majority of circulated, worn examples sell for very modest amounts, often just a few cents, sometimes a couple of dollars if the coin is unusually clean for its grade, but not anything close to thousands of dollars. Real high prices in the penny world come from rare error coins or exceptionally high-grade pieces that have been professionally graded by services like PCGS or NGC. For example, some Lincoln cents from certain years and mints with major die errors, off-center strikes, double dies, or wrong planchet strikes have sold for thousands because only a handful are known to exist. But for 2007 pennies, especially the Denver issue, without any extraordinary errors, that kind of rarity simply doesn't exist in normal circulated condition. Even coins that have been professionally graded in mint state without circulation have only brought modest premiums, typically in the low hundreds of dollars for the best examples. And that's because there's nothing particularly scarce about the 2007 issue. If you dig into real auction records, you'll see that the highest prices for 2007 Lincoln cents in certified mint state grades might approach a few $100s for rare top-quality pieces, but nothing close to $1,800 for a worn coin from circulation auction houses like Heritage and other numismatic sales sites document what buyers actually pay in dollars, and those records are the most reliable indicator of true market value for a typical worn 2007 Lincoln cent, even if it's in fine condition with visible detail but scratches and wear. The selling price is usually limited to small amounts above face value, a big difference from the big numbers you might see listed. So if you've got one of these pennies in your hand and you're seeing claims online that it's worth $1,800, take a breath and check the facts. Listings with high asking prices can be based on seller speculation and not actual sales, and they don't represent what collectors are actually paying at auction. The honest truth, based on real auction results and market behavior, is that a circulated 2007 D. Lincoln penny with wear and scratches is worth only a few cents to a couple dollars in most cases. It's a cool piece of American coinage history and fun to collect, especially if you're completing a set. But in everyday circulated condition, it isn't a ticket to big money. If you think you might have something truly unusual, an error coin, a rare variety, or something that stands out, the best thing to do is have it examined and professionally graded. That's how you find out if a coin really is something special. But for most 2007 Denver Lincoln pennies you'll find in circulation, the real auction market values in dollars are grounded in reality, not in internet hype. Next coin, the 2014 Lincoln penny with a large date and no mint mark, meaning it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. And the idea that even if it's circulated, scratched, and worn, it could be worth something like $1,000. A lot of us have looked through old change and wondered whether one of those pennies might be worth big money, especially when we see high-priced listings or video titles claiming huge values. But it's important to understand what the real-world auction market is, actually paying in dollars, especially for everyday circulated coins. The very first thing you should know is that The 2014 Lincoln cent is extremely common. The U.S. Mint produced a massive number of these coins at the Philadelphia facility, hundreds of millions, so you'll find them everywhere in pocket change, coin jars, banks, and collections. Because there are so many of them. Most circulated 2014 pennies, even ones that are worn, scratched, and look nice for their condition, are worth only their face value or just a few cents above it. Collectors usually only pay a small amount over face value for circulated coins from recent years because there's no scarcity and no shimmering rarity in used condition. So, where do high numbers like $1,000 come from? When you see figures like that in online listings or video titles, those are usually asking prices, not documented sale results. Sellers can list a coin for whatever price they like, but that doesn't mean anyone is actually paying it in the real market. The values that matter are what buyers actually pay at auction or through verified sales. And for a regular circulated 2014 penny, that value is modest. Even coins in better condition that have been graded and certified are rarely worth extreme amounts unless they have something truly unusual or rare about them. For example, the coins that do sell for higher values are usually error coins, rare die varieties, or exceptionally high-grade mint state pieces where a coin has never been in circulation and shows perfect surfaces. Those coins can attract collector interest and push prices higher because they're genuinely scarce, but a typical worn 2014 penny from circulation with scratches and wear, even if it looks nice for its condition, doesn't have the rarity collectors are willing to pay big money for. Collectors already have millions of similar coins they could choose from, so the demand for that exact coin in worn condition is low. If you look at actual auction records, the documented sales where a coin has a confirmed sale price in dollars, you'll see that circulated modern pennies like this usually sell for just a few cents to a couple of dollars at most. Even uncirculated or high-graded examples from 2014 might only bring a few dollars to tens of dollars depending on the grade, and I appeal $1,000 is simply not supported by real sale results for a circulated 2014 Lincoln cent without any documented rare, error, or special variety. So, if you're holding a 2014 penny that's been in circulation, has scratches, dirt, and wear, and someone tells you it's worth $1,000, it's important to check the facts. That kind of value is sometimes posted as a listing price in hopes someone will pay it, but it's not what collectors are actually paying at auction. Real auction values are based on actual sales records, and for common circulated coins from this year, those values are modest and grounded in reality. If you do think you might have something genuinely rare, like a major mint error, a double die, a wrong planchet, or something unusual that makes it stand out, the best thing you can do is have it examined and graded by a professional service. That's how you find out whether a coin really is something special and how real market value is established. But for most people, a circulating 2014 Lincoln penny is a neat piece of everyday American coinage history and not a ticket to big money in today's auction market.